So guys, let us take a look at this question. We have been given a table called weather with this column names ID, record date, and temperature. Okay, now let us take a look at what data we have in the table. We have the ID 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have this record date. As you can see, this record date, they are consecutive: January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And we have the temperature. Okay, and then the question says to write a solution to find all dates ID with higher temperatures compared to its previous dates yesterday. Take note again. Write a solution to find all dates ID with higher temperatures compared to its previous dates yesterday. Take note of that word yesterday. So let us come back to the table right here. What this means basically is, let's assume that this is our date, right? Take note, we have this first date right here. That's the ID one, but we know there is no previous date here. Okay, so let us take this as our current date. We are going to check if the temperature of this current date, that's this January 2nd, if it is higher than this yesterday's date. Okay, and if it is higher, we are going to return the ID, and that is exactly what is happening right here. This January 2nd, the temperature is higher than this first one, that's this yesterday's date. Take note, not just saying previous date, but yesterday's date. Okay, so this is higher than yesterday's date, therefore we say we will return ID2. Okay, now let us go to the third row. The third row right here, we have, that's January 3rd, we have temperature 20, the temperature is 20, and then let us now compare this with yesterday's date. Yesterday's date, the temperature is 25, but we know that 20 is less than 25, therefore we are not going to return the ID for this. Okay, now let us go to the fourth row right here. That is January 4th. The temperature of that is higher than the temperature of yesterday's date. Okay, yesterday's date temperature is 20, so 30 is higher than 20, therefore we are going to return the ID of this one. Okay, and that is why our output should be giving us ID2 and ID4. Okay, very good. Now if you look at this question, you will be tempted to use a lag window function, which is okay. We are also going to use that. However, a limitation to that is that, what about if this table has other rows? Let's say it has another row, row 5, where the ID is 5, but the record date is 2015 January, let's say January 6th or January 7th. So at that point, you realize that the record date is no more consecutive, right? So that means lag window function might not be helpful. Okay, but just for the sake of this, okay, the way this data set is right here, we are going to use lag window function, and we are going to use we are going to use a self join. So we are going to use a lag window function, and then we are also going to use a self join to solve this problem set, and then I will be able to tell you why self join is a better approach to solve this. Okay, now let us go to our pgadmin. So what I did here first of all is to recreate the data set. Okay, but then I added a new row. If you look at this, you see that the date right here is January 4th, but here for the next row, instead of January 5th, I put January 6th, so that I can be able to show you what I am talking about. Okay, so I'm going to be putting this for you in the description below, so that if you also want to create this table. Okay guys, if you are new on this channel, go ahead and subscribe and click on the bell so that you can be notified whenever we release any of our videos. Okay, so now in my own case, I have already run this create table and insert into that table. Okay, so I'm going to delete this, but I will give you this in the description below. Okay, so first thing guys, let us even take a look at our table first. Let us do a select star from the weather table. Okay, let us take a look at that. Let us run. Very good. You can see that we have the ID, we have the record date. You can see we have January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, fourth, there is no fifth, but rather we have sixth, okay? And then we have the temperature, okay? Now, let us now start coding something right here, okay? So let us now select our ID column. Let us select our record date column, okay? Okay, and then let us select our temperature column. So I can call that current temp, okay? And then the next thing is we are going to put a lag right here. So we are going to be putting the temperature column into our lag window function right here. So if you don't know how to use the lag window function, can you please comment that in the comment section if you want me to make video for you explaining the lag window function. If I can have as many people that request that, then I can make a video for that, okay? Now let us continue. Then I will say over, then I will order by, then I can order by the record date. Okay, if I order by the record date right here, then I can call it as previous, I can say previous date. Okay, so if I run this right here, you see what is happening, guys. Let me execute this. Very good. You can see that for January 1st, the record date, the current temperature is 10. There is no previous, let me call this previous temperature. Sorry, not previous date. Previous temperature, previous temp. Okay, now you can see that previous temp, there is no previous temp. Then this one, January 2nd right here, we have current temp is 25, the previous one is 10, right? And so on and so forth. But if you look at this for January 6th, the current temperature is 40, the previous one is 30. You can see, but the previous one that we are talking about right here, that previous one is for January 4th and not January 5th, right? So because of that, you know, because of that, lag function might not be a good one to solve this type of question, right? Because if we are going to be comparing, we are not comparing the yesterday's date. But let's still go ahead to do this, right? So for us to complete this process, now that we have this, we can wrap this into a CTE. So I can just say with CTE, as I'll put this in bracket, I'll close this bracket right here. Okay, so and then I can then say that select, I can then say select ID from CTE. Okay, because this is our CTE that we have created right here. Okay, now we want to select only the ID from the CTE where the current temperature, take note, that the current temp is greater than the previous temp. See what we are doing right here, guys. What we are now doing is that we are now comparing this column, right? This column, right? This current temp and this previous temp, right? So that means that any column where this current temperature is greater than the previous temperature, we are going to return the ID. Okay, to make it, you know, more clear for you guys, let me put the record date also, just for us to see. Okay, so if I then run this right now you can see, guys, you can see now, guys, that we have 2, 4 and 5. Why is that? The reason is because the temperature for 6th is also greater than that of 4, right? It's greater than that of 4, right? That's January 4th, and that is why we see it right here. But we know that based on the question, it says, the question says that, let's take a look at the question again. The question says that we should compare it with yesterday's dates, right? So that means that if we use this, if we use this lag function, we are not really getting it right. okay, because for this January 6th, we are not comparing it with January 5th, but rather we are comparing with January 4th, okay, and that is why this is not a good approach to do it. However, if we still put this code that we have right here, let's put that, let me copy and paste that into our SQL, into our LeetCode right here, we should still get the answer. If I copy this right here and then I run, let's see, let it run, let's see. Oh, it says that he's expecting record date. Yeah, let me take out this, sorry about that, let me take out this record date because we are expecting only ID. So let us run again. Let us run again. Very good. You can see that we got the right answer. We got it right here. 2 and 4 is our answer, right? Is what we returned, right? And we were able to do this just because the data set that is provided for us right here is the record date is consecutive, and that is why we were able to use the lag function to get the answer correctly, okay? But what about if we are not, what about if we are given a data set that is like the one I just showed, I just worked on, that is not consecutive, and that is where it's better for you to just use a self join, okay? So I'm going to take this out and then we'll work on that again. So I'll say select, we want to use self join right now, and then we'll check again if we are correct. So let us have this, okay? This is what we have. Very good. Take notes. Let's just leave this row right there. That's fine. This January 6th row, that's fine. So now we want to join the table to itself. That is self join. You are joining the same table to itself, okay? So I'll call this W1, okay? And then I will say inner join, and I will say inner join. I will join it with itself, and I will call it W2, okay? So now what I can do right here, I will do a copy and paste right here just to save some of our time, and then I will explain what's going on right here, okay? And then we'll see, okay? So now what I'm doing right here is this. I'm saying that I want to get the ID from the first table, because as you can see, the first table I put the alias to be W1. So I want to get the ID, and then I call it W1 ID. I want to get the ID for the second table because we are joining to the second table. That's the same table, but we are calling it W2. So I'm giving it W2.ID, and you need to put this alias right here, okay? Then the same thing I'm getting for the record date for both W1 and W2, and then the temperature, okay? Now what you then need right here is, how do you join? How do you perform the inner join? On what do you join? Okay, so right here we are going to join on the record date, but take note of something right here again. Like we said, right here we are talking about a current date and a previous date, right? So we want to have both temperatures beside each other. Okay, we want to have both temperatures beside each other, just like the way we add for the lag function, okay? And for us to be able to do that, what we are going to do is that we are going to say current date equals to 1 plus yesterday's date. We all know that today's date we can say today's date is the same thing as yesterday's date plus 1, right? So that means that I can say I want to join on W2.recordDate, right, equals to W1 record dates plus 1, okay? Because this record date, this yesterday's record date, if you add 1 to it, it gives you today's date, okay? So let us run this and let us see what our output is before we move on. So if I do execute, there is a syntax error somewhere. Let me execute again just to be sure. Okay, I think the problem was pgadmin. There was no syntax error. Take notes, pgadmin sometimes does that. Okay, so now if you look at what we are having right here now, based on the data set that we are working on, you can see something right here that W1 ID is 1, W2 ID right here, you have it right here, 2. Now the date for W1, that's yesterday's date, today's date, yesterday temperature, today's temperature. The same thing goes to the next row, January 2nd, January 3rd. You have their temperatures right here, January 3rd, January 4th, right? You have their temperature right here. You can see that, guys. You can see something right here, guys, that we don't have January 6th, even though we have January 6th in our table. As you know, in our table, we have January 6th, but there is no January 6th right here. Why is that? Because remember that we are joining on today's date equals to yesterday's date plus 1. So because for January 6th, there is no January 5th. So there is no way that is going to be able to join with the yesterday's date right here. And that is why you don't see January 6th. Assuming we have January 5th, then we would have seen January 4th and January 5th, then January 5th and January 6th, right? But because we don't have January 5th, that is why this ended at this January 4th right here. I hope you guys are getting it right here. And that is why using this self-join is the better approach to solve this question instead of using the lag window function. Okay, so now you can see that we already have the current temperature, and we already have the current temperature and previous temperature, current temperature, previous temperature, current temperature, previous temperature. We already have them on the same row right here. So if you say W2, that's your current, your W1 is your previous. Do you get that now? So now, because we already have them in the same row, we can easily use you can use a where clause for this if you want, or better still, you can just put in this joining, you can just put and what, and W2 dot temperature. Let's put it this way, W2 dot temperature. Let me copy and paste, right? W2 temperature is greater than W1 dot temperature. So what we are now saying now is that since now we have seen the way the table is, right? So we can just add another clause right here, or another condition right here for our joining, so that we can be able to return what we are really interested in. Remember that we want a particular date temperature to be greater than the yesterday's date temperature. That is the data set, or that is the ID we want to return. And that is why we are joining on this, and also joining on where current temperature is greater than yesterday's temperature. Okay, so if I execute this now, see what we are going to get, guys. You can see now we only have 2 rows. However, remember that if we come back right here, what we want to return is the ID only, ID of the dates where the temperature is greater than the previous temperature, right? That's the yesterday's day temperature. So what that means right now is that we are only going to be returning only W2 ID. Okay, therefore I'm going to comment out this. I will comment out this by just pressing highlighting and pressing Control, and I think that's called /, and then I will also comment this out. Let me undo that. Let me bring this to the next row, and then if you like, you can delete. You know, I'm just commenting it, and then I will take out this comma right here. Okay, now let's see what we are going to get. What we should be getting should be what we have right here, ID2 and ID4. So let me execute this. Very good, guys. Now you can see that we have ID2 and ID4. You can see right here, guys, that we have been able to use lag window function and self join. Let us take this to to our LeetCode and try to run this. I will take this out and then I will paste this. Let me take out these ones that I commented so that it doesn't interfere with our with what we are running. Okay, now let us run this right now. So if I run, let's see what we get. It says that it is wrong. Let us see the problem. Oh, I think the problem is that it wants us to give this alias as ID. Let us run again. Let's run again. Very good. You can see it's accepted. You can see ID is 2 and 4. You can see that that is what we get. You can also use the same thing right here. We are using Postgres. This same thing will also work for my SQL. If I come to my SQL right here and I paste it right here and I run, let's see. You can see right here, guys. You can see that we also got the same thing. Okay, now you can see right here, guys, that I used lag window function and also I used self join to solve this question for you. However, it's better to use a self join for this because there might be some situations whereby the dates are not consecutive, and because the question is talking about yesterday. Okay, so that means that if the dates are not consecutive, then you're going to have a problem using the lag window function. Okay, like I said, even though right here we still used it and then we got it, and that's because the dates, the table we have right here, the dates are all consecutive, and that's why the window function worked, right? But normally if we have more data sets, more rows that are not where the dates are not consecutive, we might be having be having a problem, like I showed you when I was working on it on PG admin. Okay, all right, guys, I hope you guys really understand this right now. Okay, all right, guys, if you are new on this channel, please go ahead right now and subscribe to our channel. Click on that bell so that you can be notified whenever we release on any of our videos. And please do not forget to press that like button, because when you press that like button, and then that would help us to be ranked higher by the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you don't understand how to use the lag window function, put that in the comment section below if you want me to make a video for you on that. If I have so many people that request for that, then I will make such video. Okay, and don't forget again to like this video. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video.